Okay, this feels like a wildline collision. And I say this in the way where there is an intention that you've cast out. Now, that intention has, I'm hearing, met its resonant match, and there is some type of feedback in which you're receiving from the quantum field right now. The feedback in which you're receiving, I'm hearing, is a wave, okay, a returning wave in which you're merging with once again, but it feels like a wave of information in order to be able to not just fully integrate your life experiences, but be grounded in this next wave that's approaching. I'm seeing it so that you won't feel overwhelmed by this next wave of life experience. It may be a wave of interaction. It just feels like an energy exchange of the wave itself, where it's leading to much expansion in the physical plane, but it's because of this expansive network that's happening on an etheric level with you. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Now, it's really important, first of all, to remember that as we remain conscious, right, lucidity being an ongoing state of awareness as we move through the system, while being immersed within this universe or this matrix, the easier it actually becomes to move very fluidly through our life experiences. But it requires for us to kind of train and sustain this level of remembrance as we take one step after another within the exchanges that we have in this realm that we've designed. Does this make sense? Okay. So this will help us not become consumed by our life experiences and return to the essence, the eternal aspect of whom you truly are, which is this timeless consciousness. Not the physical vessel, but the timeless consciousness that's seated inside of this physical vessel. It's one of many carbon-based life forms in which I'm hearing you've utilized as a divine instrument, as a conduit for you to navigate this terrestrial plane, but being seated within the celestial origins that you had, okay, and the celestial origins in which you have and in which you're able to return to while inside of the construct. Now, once consciousness becomes aware of itself, it begins to not only behave very, very differently, but it begins to navigate these experiences very, very differently. So I'm seeing it as the merging between two worlds. Now, the storm energy keeps coming up. So this is the storm, which is the courage to step into a new life. The crows and ravens are all about preparation of changes that you're being prepared for. I'll go ahead and read it. But again, you're being called to step into a new life. And when we speak about a new life, it's about the return to experiencing a new lifetime within this life. As we cultivate and sustain this level of awareness, it completely changes the way that we're experiencing the third dimension, because we are shifting the way that we're thinking and feeling about it. And that ultimately leads to intercommunication that dramatically shifts and alters the way that we relate to our life journey, especially emotionally. So over time, our consciousness begins to essentially widen its emotional spectrum of frequencies from these higher octaves of awareness that we're able to sustain, rather than just experiencing them through like survival or maybe anger, or identifying very, very strongly with these experiences and attaching to them. We understand that at first the storm feels like everything. It feels like we are immersed within so many different interactions, within so many different highly charged events, okay, where we see ourselves as the storm, the lightning, the thunder, the rain, right? We're in the depth of life experiences. And what begins to happen as we gradually begin to observe the experiencer while simultaneously within these contact points, I almost want to say, within these energetic exchanges, is that we begin to detach from them. We experience the totality of the third dimension while also simultaneously dwelling within the void. understanding that we are everything and everything is us, because the universe is one single being. It's one emanation, a difference in only seeming. It's source in many mediums, many disguises. And this is what changes the experience entirely, because it was never about the absence of emotion. It's not that we're blocking ourselves off from these vast networks of information behind each one of the emotions, but instead it's the ability to move through these highly charged situations or events in our life with this more expanded level of consciousness. All right, we're able to feel the full range of human emotion, but also bring ourselves back into the fact that, okay, this is very much an illusion. Okay, it is very much a Neo in the Matrix, which is the neocortex. It's the five senses. It's being immersed within the physical sensations, the interactions, the taste, touch, smell. It's like so that we can be immersed within the program itself. Okay, but then we begin rewriting it from the inside out. That's what it is. I'm hearing you're rewriting your life experiences, and every time we do that, we become the glitch within the system. And the glitch isn't about transcending this reality by going elsewhere. It's about transcending the very system that you're immersed in. To become buoyant is to become less dense in the medium you're immersed in. So you're operating within this dense third dimensional plane, but you're also carrying within your vessel these higher levels of awareness that you can anchor into the system. And that's the very thing that allows you to embrace these waves of changes. It is the very thing that allows you to embrace the storm itself. That's what it is. Okay, because if we think about this, okay, let me go ahead and get this up, because if we think about the tower and the star, let me teach you something about the tower in case you don't know. So here we literally split it at the star. The star was always behind the tower card, but you just couldn't see the star because there was something that was distorting or blocking our view. And again, with humans, sometimes these inverted ways of seeing the world, or these myopic lenses in which we can have, or really again distorted or obstructed ways of seeing our life experiences, are necessary in order to create that foundation of, let's just say, karma, which is this repeated cause which leads to the effect of our life, for us to develop this level of pattern recognition for our life experiences. And that pattern recognition is necessary, and I'm seeing this as lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes in which we accumulate this karma or this cause and effect, for us to be seated inside of the effect of what that repeated action or repeated way of thinking and feeling about our life experiences were. And I'm seeing this as ancestral networks, okay, that you've also incarnated into, where it's been lifetimes and lifetimes and generations and essentially eons of being disconnected from the true nature of this reality, and then you incarnate into the bloodline in order to allow your ancestors to ascend through your ascended ways of thinking and feeling and relating to your life experiences. And so you begin to pull forward this one body of consciousness, which is in your entire lineage, and they begin to ascend with you, right? They begin to see life on earth as you see it. They begin to feel about their life experiences the way that you feel about them. And I'm seeing that's how they live vicariously through you, where you bring safety into the bloodline again in order to return back to the realm of Leela, which is playing inside of your own divine creation, instead of living under the veils of Maya, which is living under the illusion of separation and just being unconscious in the system. And that's the beauty of awakening and becoming conscious to the fact that you are a soul experiencing itself in a human vessel. I'm hearing in a human vehicle. And that's when the chariot begins to shift. So I'm seeing it as, pain, suffering, life experiences that become the tower itself. And I'm seeing this is an interruption to the belief systems of what we have believed our life to be, which is just purely physical. But behind the physical, there has always been this etheric, conscious organism of consciousness, right? When we speak about the star represents this inner truth, this highly intelligent entity that holds within it this spectrum of frequencies. Frequencies are information, a frequency of information. And as you begin to exchange information, with this intercommunication that happens with plasma, plasma carries within it the waves of photons, and those photons, once absorbed at the molecular level, on a cellular level, allow you to absorb your life experiences, integrate your life experiences, and transcend them the moment that we see them from the perspective of the soul. And this is the one that's untouched by time, that is unaffected by the waves of changes, okay? Even the waves in which have come crashing down, that is the tower moments, the destabilization that becomes the very catalyst for your transformation, especially when it comes to etheric transformation that's happening, the healing and restoration of these larger quantum networks that are being restored through your physical life experiences, inseparable from one another. So I'm also seeing this as the work that you've been doing when it comes to seeing your life experiences clearly have also simultaneously poured forth your starseed lineages, these quantum non-local connections that you have. Okay, this is what I'm seeing. There was also something else that was coming through when it comes to the waves of change. Anyway, embracing change, becoming one with the ocean again. Let me go and read 44 for you. This is going to be significant. So anyway, you're now at this point where it talks about an invitation to act now and the courage to step into a new life and sheltering from turbulence. When the perfect storm appears, it cautions for you to be ready for an exciting and turbulent time. The winds are picking up speed. And again, this is about knowing that you're supposed to be remaining centered. You're supposed to essentially know that you don't have to experience life itself from the perspective of the storm, from the rain and the lightning and the chaos of it, but instead consciousness, you reach a point where consciousness is not just this localized vessel in the field, but it's the very field that your vessel moves through. And you are both. You are able to hold this awareness with the sky that holds the storm, instead of just being a storm in the sky. You are the very sky that holds within it the experience of the storm. And I'm seeing this as your own emotional world. This is what happens the moment that we begin to observe our own emotions and recognize that we are the awareness behind it. And this was the other message that was coming through: acceptance. Acceptance instantaneously neutralizes an energy and how we relate to our life experiences. Usually, disharmony occurs when we have this inability to unconditionally just accept something. I'm hearing the matter at hand. I'm hearing the matter at heart. We tune back into our heart space the moment that we unconditionally accept it as being a part of. What we resist begins to grow. What we surrender to then becomes the reason for our transformation. And I'm seeing it as surrendering to the waves of change that even are occurring within you, because that transcendence happens literally the moment that we remember ourselves as the sky, right? When we remember that we are actually holding ourselves through these life experiences, that's like the essence of what I'm seeing. This is exactly what it is you're mastering. It's the ability to hold the perspective of the soul while inside of your life experiences. That's how you move through this construct and see life through the lens of source. You're able to anchor the lens of source, which helps you be seated in the eye of the storm, witnessing how life is consistently recalibrating itself to correspond to our internal evolution, to our internal, I'm hearing perspective shifts. Oh, there's something important on the tip of my tongue here. It's not that a situation ever changes. It's that our perspective of it changes. This is the very thing that allows healing to occur. It's not that a person ever really changes, but it's that our perspective of them and our perception of them shifts before they ever do. Okay, so it's within these ordinary moments in our life as well, right? It's like where you may be having an argument or a disagreement with somebody, but then you wake up inside of the experience and you recognize that you are also this other person. Again, that level of interconnectedness is where you can feel that anxiety rise, but instead of just collapsing into that sensation, you were able to remember yourself as a sky that holds the storm of life experiences. Again, it's like the moment where you witness the sensation moving through your body, where you may be triggered emotionally, but instead of just reacting, again, you see the pattern because of that pattern recognition from the foundation of which your life experiences were able to emerge, which was often from the unconscious. But once we become conscious of the unconscious aspects of ourselves, they no longer begin to guide our life. Instead, we are able to rewrite them. And I'm seeing it as something you rewriting your reality from the inside out. These are the small moments of transcendence in which every single human being on planet Earth is being, called back to. Essentially, it's these small moments where consciousness stops identifying with the storm of life or the storms that we experience through life, and instead begins remembering itself as the wider field that is holding the experience itself. You are the very field and room that becomes the container of all beings, all cells communicating to each other. All organisms communicating to each other at the cellular level within this ecosystem of experiences. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this talks about here's the essence. Experience the fullness of life and you'll succeed, becoming unburdened by our righteous self-importance and allowing the storm to take us to a happier destination. Embrace the rain or snow, and remember that every time you try to argue with nature, you lose. Do you ever do that? Are you ever in a highly charged situation and then you're like, well, this is an illusion. All right, none of it is personal, it's just frequency. There's that essence of coming back to homeostasis, right? And then we have joyful muse behind that, which is about feeling safe enough within life to play again, to see it from the lens of a child, to experience life through the lens of the soul. What a beautiful return home. Home is a feeling, and you see, alignment isn't somewhere that we reach externally, it's something that we return to. It's a state of coherence that we return to. So I'm gonna love and leave you right there. All right. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. We'd love to have you around. I would love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. And also check out Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAE grade gemstones. One of the proceeds or donations to Sanctuaries. I don't know if I said that already. If you made it to this point, let me know, what was the moment? What is the storm in your life? And when did you remember yourself as a sky that holds that experience? What was that level of remembrance that you had? Maybe the one that is most prominent in your field. And also, where do you feel like you're being called to hold the storm as the sky in this next season of change?